Listen, life isn't about always being seen. It isn't about being everywhere at once or trying to prove yourself to people who don't value you. Real power comes from understanding the weight of your presence and the impact of your absence. Sometimes the most powerful statement you can make isn't what you say, it's what you don't. Your absence can send a message louder than any words ever could, and today I want to show you why that truth can transform your life. Your absence defines your value, and this is one of the most overlooked truths in life. When you are constantly available, people tend to take you for granted without even realizing it. They forget that your time is limited, that your energy is precious, and that the presence you bring into any situation is a gift, not an entitlement. Being everywhere all the time can make your worth invisible, not because it isn't there, but because abundance without boundaries can dilute the perception of value. When you step back, when you consciously create space between yourself and others, it forces people to recognize the importance of what you bring. Your absence shines a light on your contributions, your energy, and your uniqueness in a way that presence alone cannot. It is not a withdrawal out of fear or resentment. It is a statement that your time, your energy, and your life are valuable, and that they deserve respect. When you constantly show up, people may assume that you will always be there, that your help, your attention, or your support is limitless. This can lead to dependency where your presence becomes expected rather than appreciated. However, when you step back, even for a short while, it creates a pause, a space that allows others to fill the gap your absence leaves. Suddenly, your influence becomes visible, your contributions noticeable, and the value of your presence undeniable. People begin to realize that what they have been taking for granted is actually rare and significant. This process doesn't just apply to work, friendships, or relationships. It applies to every area of life where your energy and presence make a difference. Your absence becomes a mirror that reflects your worth, reminding others and yourself of the power and uniqueness you hold. An example that illustrates this is the story of a dedicated employee who is always the first to arrive at the office and the last to leave. He takes on extra tasks, answers emails instantly, and is available whenever someone needs him. At first, everyone praises him, but over time, his efforts are expected, and his value begins to fade in the eyes of his coworkers. One day, he decides to step back, leaving on time, taking a break from extra assignments and prioritizing his personal growth outside of work. At first, his absence creates mild confusion, and some even express frustration. However, soon his unique contributions, problem-solving skills, and leadership qualities become impossible to ignore. People start to reach out to him, asking for guidance and recognizing the effort and energy he had always been giving. His absence redefined his value. It reminded everyone, including himself, that what he brings to the table is not ordinary, and that it is worth respecting. This principle teaches a deeper lesson about self-worth. Your value is not determined by how often you are seen, how quickly you respond, or how much you give away without pause. It is defined by understanding your own significance and setting boundaries that protect your energy and your time. By stepping back intentionally, you create a space where others can recognize the weight of your contributions, the impact of your presence, and the importance of your unique energy. Your absence becomes a signal, a statement, and a reminder that your life, your time, and your essence are precious. It is a declaration that you will not be undervalued, and it empowers both you and those around you to see the real weight of your presence. Silence is one of the most underestimated forms of power. In a world where everyone is shouting to be heard, speaking constantly and reacting immediately to every comment or situation, choosing to remain silent can be revolutionary. Words are undeniably powerful, but silence carries a weight that words often cannot. When you choose not to react to every provocation, not to respond to every criticism, or not to chase validation, you create space for people to reflect. Silence forces others to pause, to consider, and to question. It makes them see you differently, because it signals that your presence and energy are intentional, not automatic. When you are silent, it is a demonstration of control. It shows that you are not a product of external pressures or the opinions of others. Silence, therefore, is not emptiness. It is strategy, restraint, and strength combined. Being silent is often misunderstood as weakness or passivity, but in reality, it is a conscious choice that communicates confidence and self-respect. Reacting to every situation, arguing every point, or trying to prove yourself constantly can dilute your influence when you stop. Participating in the noise, people notice the absence of your voice, and that absence makes them realize the weight of your presence. Silence allows you to observe and understand situations more clearly without letting emotions dictate your actions. It gives you the opportunity to choose when and how to engage rather than reacting impulsively. Over time, people start to associate your silence with wisdom, patience, and authority because it demonstrates that you are not easily swayed or manipulated by the chaos around you. Silence also commands respect because it separates you from the triviality of constant social validation. Many people spend their lives trying to prove themselves to others, seeking approval in every word and action. Choosing silence breaks this cycle. It is a way of saying that your value is inherent and not dependent on the recognition of others. By refusing to enter into petty arguments, gossip, or unnecessary explanations, you allow your actions and presence to speak louder than your words. People begin to appreciate the quiet confidence that comes with someone who knows their worth and doesn't feel the need to broadcast it constantly. In this way, silence becomes a tool for influence because it forces others to pay attention, think critically, and engage meaningfully rather than reacting automatically. A clear example of the power of silence can be seen in the story of a manager at a company who was constantly interrupted by colleagues trying to challenge his decisions. In the past, he felt compelled to explain every choice and defend himself vigorously. The constant back and forth created tension, and his authority was often questioned. One day, he decided to respond differently. Instead of reacting immediately, he listened, considered, and remained silent during discussions where others were trying to provoke him. At first, his silence company infused his colleagues and made them impatient, but over time they began to recognize that his lack of immediate reaction did not mean weakness, it meant deliberate control. They started to approach him with more respect, understanding that his decisions were thoughtful and intentional. His silence amplified his influence because people had to think carefully before speaking, knowing that their words would be weighed by someone who chose to engage only with purpose. Silence is not the absence of power. It is its embodiment. It is a strategic tool that allows you to control situations, command respect, and demonstrate that your influence is rooted in wisdom rather than reaction. When you learn to harness silence, you learn to elevate your presence, influence, and impact. People begin to understand that your power does not depend on noise, attention, or constant validation. It depends on restraint, confidence, and the quiet strength of knowing your worth. Absence creates space for self-growth because the world constantly demands our attention, energy, and time. People expect us to be available, to respond instantly, to participate in every conversation, and to meet the needs of everyone around us. If we never step back, we risk being consumed by external demands, leaving little room to focus on what truly matters: our dreams, our vision, our health, and our personal development. Stepping away is not about escaping responsibilities or abandoning others. It is about prioritizing yourself and intentionally creating the mental and emotional space necessary for growth. When you remove yourself from distractions and external pressures, you allow your mind to think clearly, your goals to take shape, and your inner potential to expand. Absence is a tool, a conscious choice to invest in yourself so that when you re-enter the world, you are stronger, wiser, and more capable than be. 4. Being present with yourself means dedicating time to reflection, learning, and improvement. It involves examining your habits, recognizing areas where you need growth, and actively working to become the person you aspire to be. The absence of external noise and expectations allows for this introspection. Many people spend their lives running from one task to another, fulfilling obligations and trying to meet the demands of others, and in doing so, they neglect the most important project of all, themselves. By stepping back, even temporarily, you give yourself permission to nurture your talents, refine your skills, and to rebuild your energy. This kind of absence is not passive. It is an active investment in your own future, ensuring that the energy you pour into your life has the greatest impact. Absence also amplifies the results of your growth because it allows transformation to happen without distraction. When you focus on yourself, your mindset, your physical health, your education, or your personal projects, you create momentum that is noticeable when you return to your usual environment. People will see the difference in your confidence, your knowledge, your energy, and your results. Your absence becomes a signal that you are evolving, improving, and leveling up in ways that words alone cannot convey. It sends a message that your life is intentional and that your growth is a priority. And this inspires respect and admiration from those around you. A simple example of this can be seen in the life of a young entrepreneur who was constantly attending networking events, responding to messages at all hours, and trying to keep up with the expectations of clients, friends, and family. He realized that his constant presence left him little time to focus on developing his skills or planning his business strategy. He made a conscious decision to take a step back, declining social invitations, turning off notifications, and dedicating time solely to learning, planning, and practicing his craft. Over a few months, his knowledge and skills grew exponentially. When he returned to networking events, people immediately noticed his confidence, clarity, and expertise. His absence had allowed him to cultivate personal growth, and the impact of his return was far greater than if he had remained constantly present. Ultimately, absence creates space for self-growth by giving you control over your time, focus, and energy. It allows you to invest in yourself without distractions, to reflect deeply, and to strengthen your mind, body, and spirit. The more you nurture yourself during periods of absence, the louder your eventual return becomes, because your growth speaks for itself. Absence is not a withdrawal. It is preparation. It is the quiet, deliberate choice to become stronger, wiser, and more powerful than you were yesterday, ensuring that when you step back into the world, you do so with purpose and impact. Absence is one of the most revealing tools in life because it exposes who truly values you. When you are constantly available, people often take your presence for granted. They assume that your attention, your time, and your energy are unlimited, and they begin to expect it without consideration. In that state, it's easy for others to overlook your worth, and even your closest relationships can become unbalanced. When you step back and stop giving your time freely, you create a natural test of character that shows who genuinely respects you, who truly cares, and who is only there because it's convenient. Absence has a way of filtering people out. It acts like a mirror that reflects the sincerity of others' intentions. This is not about punishment or withdrawal from love. It's about creating clarity. By being absent, you reveal the difference between those who value you and those who simply benefit from your presence. When you establish boundaries and prioritize yourself, absence becomes a powerful lens through which people's true colors emerge. Those who value you will notice your absence and respect it. They will check in, offer support, or simply express appreciation for your energy and contributions. On the other hand, those who do not truly value you may complain, criticize, or make no effort at all. This is not a matter of ego. It's a matter of discernment. Life is too short to invest in relationships that drain you or fail to honor your worth. Absence acts as a filter. It naturally separates those who genuinely care from those whose interest is conditional or self-serving. In this way, stepping back is an act of empowerment. It allows you to reclaim your time, energy, and focus, and ensures that your relationships are built on mutual respect rather than convenience. Absence also provides a moment of self-reflection. When you stop giving your time to people who do not appreciate it, you begin to notice patterns of behavior and recurring dynamics in your relationships. You start to see who reaches out consistently, who respects your boundaries, and who disappears or complains when you take a step back. This insight is invaluable because it allows you to invest your energy wisely. Relationships are meant to be reciprocal, not one-sided. By creating space through absence, you make it clear to yourself and others that your presence is a privilege, not an obligation. It teaches people the value of respect and teaches you the importance of selective investment in relationships that truly matter. A clear example of this can be seen in the life of a woman who was always the first to offer help to her friends, always available for emotional support, and constantly accommodating the needs of those around her. Over time, she realized that her generosity and constant availability were being taken for granted. She decided to step back, limit her availability, and prioritize her own well-being. At first, some friends reacted with frustration or indifference, expecting her to be there as usual. Others, however, reached out to check on her, express appreciation, or offer support in return. Her absence revealed who genuinely valued her, not just for what she could provide, but for who she was as a person. It filtered out energy drainers and made space for relationships rooted in mutual respect and care. Ultimately, absence exposes the truth about human connections. It shows you who genuinely values you, who respects your boundaries, and who honors your worth. By stepping back and creating space, you empower yourself to focus on relationships that are meaningful, reciprocal, and supportive. Absence is not rejection, it is revelation. It allows you to see clearly, act intentionally, and invest your time and energy where it truly matters. The people who truly value you will rise to the occasion, and those who do not will naturally fall away, leaving a circle of authenticity and respect that strengthens both your life and your spirit. When you step back and create absence, your eventual presence carries a weight it could never have had if you were always available. Being constantly present can make even your most powerful actions feel ordinary because people get used to seeing you everywhere, participating in everything, and offering your energy at all times. When you remove yourself intentionally, you create anticipation and a sense of significance around your presence. Your absence becomes a tool that allows your return to be noticed, felt, and respected. When you finally show up, your actions, your words, and your energy are no longer taken for granted. They are appreciated, recognized, and amplified. This is why strategic absence is not about avoidance. It's about creating a platform for impact that is louder and more influential than constant participation ever could achieve. Absence amplifies your impact because it forces people to notice the value of your contributions. When you are always present, your efforts are expected, and your achievements can blend into the background. Your energy and influence can go unnoticed because people assume you will always be there. But when you step back, even temporarily, it disrupts the pattern. People begin to reflect on what you bring into their lives, their work, or their community. They start to recognize the energy, insight, and skill that were once taken for granted. By the time you return, your presence is no longer ordinary. It is earned, intentional, and powerful. The impact you create is heightened because your absence has allowed your value to be observed in a fresh, undeniable way. This principle applies to all areas of life, personal relationships, professional work, and personal projects. In relationships, for example, someone who constantly gives their attention can be overlooked, but stepping back strategically forces others to appreciate and respect their presence. In business, an employee, leader, or entrepreneur who is always available may see their efforts diluted in the eyes of others, but a temporary withdrawal can make their skills and ideas stand out, commanding attention and respect. Absence provides perspective. It allows others to measure the true weight of your contributions and the significance of your presence. It transforms ordinary interactions into moments of intentional impact. When your return is strategic, deliberate, and purposeful, people pay attention, and your influence multiplies. A strong example of this can be seen in the life of a musician who was constantly performing and releasing music without pause. While talented, the audience began to take his work for granted, and the excitement around each release started to fade. Recognizing this, he decided to take a deliberate break from the public eye, focusing instead on refining his craft and creating music that truly resonated with his vision. When he returned, the new album and performances carried a weight that was impossible before because his absence had created anticipation, curiosity, and renewed respect. Fans, critics, and peers noticed not just the music, but the strategic way he had positioned himself. His absence amplified his impact. The same actions he had always done now commanded attention, appreciation, and influence far beyond what they had before. Ultimately, absence amplifies your impact by creating a contrast between presence and absence. It allows you to be intentional, to step into spaces with energy that is measured, valued, and respected. It ensures that your actions are noticed, your voice is heard, and your influence is felt. When you understand the power of absence, you no longer need to chase recognition. Recognition comes naturally because your presence carries significance that has been earned, intentional, and amplified. In a world where everyone is constantly trying to be seen, choosing to step back gives you a platform to be truly unforgettable. Remember this, you don't have to be everywhere to be important. Your time, your energy, and your presence are precious. Sometimes walking away, stepping back, and letting the world feel your absence is the most powerful thing you can do. When you stop trying to prove yourself to the wrong people and start focusing on your own path, you realize your absence speaks louder than your presence ever could. Step wisely, move intentionally. Let the world feel the weight of you, even when you're silent. Because the true power of a person isn't just in showing up, it's in knowing when not to.